Headline from IGN. 28 years later in development as sequel to beloved zombie classic. They're going to fuck it up. You know that, right? I read that. I'm like, nope, it's over. 28 days later, fantastic movie. 28 weeks later, fantastic movie. Not as good as the first one, but I thought it was pretty good. 28 years later, why'd you skip the months, first of all? Isn't that like the natural progression of how time works? That would have made sense, but it's okay. It's neither here nor there. We're at 28 years later, pretty much, trying to line up with real world time and stuff like that, though. It's gonna flop. People have been telling me it has the same people that did the first two. That's great and all. It doesn't matter. They could easily be bought. And that's how it works now in Hollywood, okay? They can easily just attach your name to something, just like, Sam Raimi in Multiverse of Madness. Like, oh yeah, Sam Raimi's, directed. It's like, no, he's not. Sam Raimi had nothing to do with that movie, but his name was on it. His name was absolutely on it, and they're like, oh yeah, you can see some of his directing style in like 2 scenes. Okay, so you did 2 scenes with the guy, and that's it. So no, I don't believe this for a second that the writing staff and directing staff of the first 2 movies will remotely play a part in this, because they're just gonna ruin it. They're gonna take the franchise and do what they do with everything that's beloved now, just running into the ground. Blame race, gender, and sexuality as why the toxic fans won't watch it, and then they're going to move on to the next franchise. And then, people like me are going to watch the first 2 again. We're going to have the DVDs of it, and we're going to say, okay, the 28 years later does not exist. We're just going to watch the first 2, and that's it. They were great movies. It's very difficult to make a zombie movie. Especially these days now, because essentially all the stories are exactly the same, okay? In the end, this is how all zombie products go today, okay? The outbreak is really not the biggest deal going on, okay? It's the people, it's the little colonies that are being built up, it's, the selfishness, it's humanity crumbling around them, it's, the savage nature of the human spirit and things like that. And the zombies are just like a little bit of seasoning on top of it. But, I get it, there's no real originality with zombies, so I understand that. But the first 2 were good. The first 2 were very good. They were very unique. They stood out. And that's about it. This one's not going to do that well, I don't think. It's certainly not going to be as remotely popular or loved as the first 2. But, they're going to try their best. And you know what? I could be wrong. I'm capable of being wrong about Hollywood today. I just don't really believe it. I want to take it with a grain of salt. I want to say, okay, maybe these people are going to be different. But in the end, if they're being funded by, ESG companies and stuff like that, we all know how it's going to turn out. We can tell very early of what a movie's going to look like based on the casting, based on the early comments by the actors and actresses going in it. And that tells you the story right there. So it'll be interesting. There's really no date on it from what I'm seeing. A lot of dates are rumored on this, so it'll be interesting. Don't get me wrong. Definitely a lot of clickbait going forward with it. But ultimately, I don't feel good about it, though. But what do you guys think about it? Do you have faith in the production staff of the first 2 movies that are apparently in this third product? Do you think we should have had 28 months later first? Let me know what you guys think about it.
Is the future